When Insta360 announced they were making a new action camera, I knew it would be different. This is a company that makes some really innovative camera gear like the X3 360 camera, but there's an unspoken rule when it comes to tech, and that's the first version of something usually isn't the best. And in fact, the first version of a lot of tech is actually the worst version. And after using it for a while, the Insta360 Ace Pro is a camera that I'm convinced is going to change how we look at action cameras. It's going to change how action cameras are made going forward. But for now, it's just a stepping stone in that direction. Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter with my review of the Insta360 Ace Pro. The Insta360 Ace Pro looks a lot like what you probably think of when you think of action cameras, a small boxy shape that's familiar, something like a GoPro. At first glance, the Ace Pro fits into that design and form factor. It's small, 71.9 by 52.15 by 38.5 millimeters, but what you first notice when you take it out of the box is that it has noticeable heft to it. The Ace Pro weighs 180 grams, which is 30 more than a comparable GoPro, and you definitely feel it in the hand. Inside the box, you've got some papers, a USB-C charging cable, a suction cup mount, and this small mount with magnets we'll talk about in a second. Insta360 also make a version of the Ace Pro with a smaller sensor and a different lens that's a little bit less expensive, but the Pro has a Leica lens with a 1/1.3-inch sensor and shoots up to 4K 120 frames per second, maxing out at 8K 24 FPS. This camera is capable of a lot more, but I wanted to show you what the footage right out of the camera looks like and what the 3 microphones inside, what they can do. I haven't edited the footage or color graded it or edited the sound to remove any kind of echo that you're probably hearing from a big boxy room like this with high ceilings. So this is what it sounds like, this is what it looks like, and this is all just straight out of the camera at 4K in 30 FPS. To my ears, the microphones sound pretty good, they sound pretty decent, and I think the image is good. It's action camera quality good. Alright, so now let's move outdoors so you can see what the footage looks like when we're outdoors, and also hear with the microphones what they pick up when there's a lot more ambient sound. And as we're walking outside, I just wanted to give you an idea of what the stabilization is like on this camera. I haven't added any kind of additional stabilization. This is just on the normal stabilizing mode, and you can see the image is pretty good. It's not shaking around even though I'm walking outside. Alright, so like most action cameras, the footage looks the best when you're in good light, right? Good light equals good footage usually, and I think the microphones do a decent job. I have the camera right now, it's in my hand, so the microphones, even though my hand is surrounding the camera, do a pretty good job of isolating my voice, even though we've got some traffic just right behind there, so there's a lot of sound from cars driving by, coming by, but it sounds pretty good. It's doing a decent job of picking up my voice, and I think the image quality is pretty good. Again, action camera, good. You can configure all of the settings through the touchscreen, where you can change your resolution, frame rates, stabilization, and more. And you can change the angles of the lens. So right now we're in the action lens mode, so it's super wide and it gives you this fisheye look that is very common when it comes to action cameras. But if you're vlogging or you don't really want this really action camera-y look, you can go in and zoom in a lot more and get a more flatter profile. Let me show you what that looks like. Alright, so this is what's called de-warp, so it should look a little bit like more of a regular camera, something you would get from your phone, for example. So this is an idea of what it looks like when you're trying to go for a more natural look, less of an action camera look. And if you want to, you can flip this around in 2 times just to give you an idea of now you're really zoomed in and you're zoomed out all again, and then if you stop recording you can go in and get that wider angle look if you want, or the action mode as well. There are other cool features here like AI warp that you likely won't use very often, but that AI processor really helps in low light situations. For an action camera, the Ace Pro really takes advantage of that larger sensor and AI to make it more versatile at night. The 1650 mAh battery life is also decent. It gives you about an hour and a half of filming at 4K 30 FPS, and quick charging will get you up to 80% within 22 minutes, and it takes around 45 minutes for a full charge. There's a screen on the front here giving you recording settings, time, and battery information, plus indicator lights to let you know when you're recording, for example. And the Ace Pro is waterproof down to 10 meters or 30 feet. But the main feature that you've probably noticed here by now is the front-facing screen, which is something that is really useful when you're vlogging to be able to see yourself. And I think the screen on the Insta360 Ace Pro is going to change how we look at action cameras. Having a flip screen on an action camera is something you didn't realize you were missing until you have one. You still have to remember to look at the camera lens and not the screen when you're recording, but in between, you can quickly see what your different shooting modes will look like, what your frames will look like with a quick glance at the screen. It's also easier to go through the settings and the touchscreen rather than having to flip the camera around. Insta360 have also added gesture and voice controls, and you can use your phone as a separate lens and remote control to start recording. This flip screen is one of the ways that the Insta360 Ace Pro is going to change action cameras, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see DJI or GoPro emulating this on some of their cameras, but not all of their cameras. And that reason is because the Insta360 Ace Pro is going to change action cameras in another way. And that's vlogging. So if you're mountain biking, skiing, or surfing, then having more moving parts just makes your camera a little bit more vulnerable. There's even this cable here that could get damaged if you drop this camera in the right spot on rocks or asphalt. These latches too here are places where mud or dirt could accumulate and aren't the easiest spots to clean. And the Insta360 Ace Pro is a shift in action cameras because it's not really geared toward action. This is more of a compact vlogging camera that you can use as an action camera. I say that because the lens is not removable like it is on a GoPro, for example, so if it breaks or is scratched, you'll hopefully still be under Insta360's no questions asked 1-year warranty. Moving parts, like I mentioned, the less the better for action, but for vlogging, this screen is incredibly useful. And the mount that goes on the bottom, that's also better suited for vlogging. Well, not specifically, but this latching mount that's guided by strong magnets on both the camera and the mount is strong when you get them to line up just right. It usually takes me a try or two, and the releases there on the sides, they're a little bit small. Imagine trying to take this on or off with gloves when it's cold outside, snowy or rainy, and you can see that it might need some tweaking. And that's why I said the Ace Pro is a first step. Like, there are tweaks that can be made to the design, like hiding this cable here on the back, or maybe adding a removable lens, or maybe just overall making the camera a little bit lighter. I'm sure the next version will have some significant improvements if other versions of Insta360's cameras version 2s are any indicator, but this will still be, I think, a vlogging first action camera, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are often times when I'm filming travel videos where I shoot with the GoPro because it's less conspicuous and lighter, plus doesn't quite look like a, quote, professional camera in places like museums. But framing is difficult on the small front screens of the GoPro, and even though I know it's a very wide angle, I'm hesitant to use other zoom modes because I'm not sure of how well it will line up. But the Ace Pro solves those kind of problems, and it's a camera I'll probably be using more for vlogging. Some of you are more action focused, so you're mountain biking, you're climbing, you're diving, you're doing those kind of things, so you're shooting more action videos and less vloggy type videos. And for you, I think the Insta360 is probably not the best fit. You're probably better off going with a GoPro if you're shopping between action cameras, or if you already have an action camera and you saw the Insta360 Ace Pro and you were thinking of maybe switching from GoPro to this. If you're more action oriented, I would say probably wait for the second version of this because I think it's going to be a significant jump in terms of form factor, features, and function if the version 2 of other Insta360 cameras are any indication. For those of you who are mainly interested in vlogging though, or taking stable shots where you have this camera on a tripod and you're filming yourself, if you want more of a vlogging camera that can do action stuff, then the Insta360 Ace Pro might be a better fit for you. That's my review of the Insta360 Ace Pro. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below, and while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week, and I will see you in the next video.